Now can you hear me, Sheetal?
Yes, I can hear you. Earlier, I couldn't hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm also good. So good to see you after a
After
long
so
time.
many years, after many, many
Yes,
years, it's good to see you too.
yes, yes. So
Can
we
you
will,
hear us clearly? We can just take a
yeah,
confirmation. Yeah,
yeah. I can hear you properly.
super. Yes.
So we'll wait for 2 to 3 minutes.
We'll wait
Let's.
for about few minutes and yeah, then you can
Okay.
join.
Okay.
Okay.
So are you excited for the session today?
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah,
ready
me too.
to actually burst some myths around manifestation so that it becomes even more easier for people to really
Amazing.
create. It's a lot about actually unlearning more than learning. It's a lot about
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Amazing. Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. People are joining.
Prajakta, hi Prajakta, can you hear me clearly? If you can just say or write a thumbs up so then I'll know we are both audible. I think we had some network issues. Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Priya. Thank you. Thank you, Priya Madam. Yes, okay. Hmm.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes, Poonam. So where do we begin? Would you like to say something
Okay.
or
So I would like to introduce you first. So hello everyone, good evening. And I'm really excited for this session with Sheetal. And she is our guide today. So meet Sheetal R Ahuja. She's a feminine embodiment coach and a light worker. She assists women to reconnect to their womb space and rise into their truest feminine essence. As a light worker, she acts as a conduit, medium, and facilitate intuitive readings, oracles plus channeling, and offer energy clearing for emotional, financial, mental, and physical well-being. So today she is going to talk about three keys of manifestation: intention, inspired action, and surrender. According to her, manifestation is the art of bringing things into fruition. Contrary to belief that one needs to exert a lot of efforts in order to attain their goal, it's quite opposite. The less you do and the more you land in the rested frequency, the faster you manifest it into the reality. So yes, let's explore and uncover these three key elements of manifestation with Sheetal. So welcome, and I give over to you the stage.
firstly, thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. And to all our viewers here, thank you so much for joining in and tuning in. So, without wasting more time, let's talk about briefly understanding. So, before we uncover the three elements of manifestation, let's just talk about, in a layman's term, what is manifestation. So, there's a lot of definitions. So, there's a lot of understanding in how people see manifestations as. Manifestation, simply put, is about creating our desires and bringing them in our 3D reality where we can tangibly touch and feel that what we have created. So a lot of times when we meditate or we are doing spiritual work, so it is always said that we first create it in the field or in the quantum field, then we are bringing it into the earth realm or 3D reality. So for people, 3D reality is nothing but our earth, this dimension. So we are in the 3D realm, 3D plane. So manifestation is the art of bringing things to fruition. It's an art of creating. And before we bring anything to fruition, we definitely need to create. So today I would really like to explore few nuances or aspects of creation so that creation becomes easy, joyful, fun, and we lift the burden out of, or the pressures out of creation. So my whole intention for today's session is to really talk about manifestations, yes, but also to talk about universal laws of creation uh, that allows manifestation to come in our reality. thank you, Lena, for your blessings and your love. Uh, Creation is, a lot of times people feel that creation is external, as in God, spirit guides, ascension team, everybody out there. There's some force energy out there that is creating for me, and I'm relying on them to create. But our truth is that we are always co-creating. We are always one with the creative force energy, and we are applying joint forces, and we are like hand in glove with that higher energy, with the universal intelligence, and we are creating things together. It's a subtle art of really going with that flow and co-creating. So that is just, I wanted to clear that little, in terms of creation. And now I would like to just explore a little bit about laws of creation, as in what really, how do we create? So when we are creating, like in how an expectant mother is birthing a child into the universe, she's creating life. So whether you're birthing a book, you're birthing a project, you're birthing a business idea, or you're conceiving, let's say, a child, you're creating life force, and you're bringing it into fruition, sorry, into the world. So when we are creating something, creation happens with a lot of fun and joy. There's no pressure. When couples come to me, especially women, when they want to conceive, or when somebody wants to create or write or author a book or create a masterpiece painting for which they want to be worldwide rewarded or recognized. Imagine if somebody is painting with that intention, with a pressure, I have to win a prize, therefore I'm creating that. Or imagine when a couple is trying to have a child, or having sex with that pressure and target, we need to have a child. Imagine the stress and pressure and agony that the person would go through, because it's very goal oriented and target based. Creation happens in spaces of when you least expect it. So creation is not target based, creation is fun. Creation follows the energy of whatever is fun, that's where I'm creating. And it's not, of course, we create consciously, we have our intentions that this is what I want to bring into the world, therefore I'm creating it. But if one is creating with a lot of pressure and burden and target, there's no fun in that. And then we experience delays in manifestations, and then we experience a time lag in which things come to our fruition. So the laws of creation is also ties down beautifully with one of my favorite laws of least effort. So it talks about that when you're creating something, it should be so autopilot that you shouldn't even feel that you're actually sitting and creating. So whoever is authoring a book, whoever is creating a movie script or a song, or the singers or music, it's an inspiration that flows through, and therefore they are creating with that realm. So that's a little bit about how creation happens. The three keys that I wanted all of us to explore and play today with, as to how does manifestation really work about, is number one is intention. It's very interesting. A lot of times we want a lot of things in our life, like money, better health, better relationship, and so on. It's very important to tune in with ourselves to understand, why do I want whatever that I'm looking for? कहने को लोगों को, like कितनी बार I've seen people, somebody wants to travel because my neighbors are traveling, because my relatives are traveling. I want to get married because my best friend is getting married. I want the money because my colleague is promoted. I want to join the bandwagon. A lot of times when I work with clients, or when I hear people say, there's a lot of herd mentality. My relative has a child, I also want to have a child. There is no really, the intention is not clear. कि आप जो भी create करना चाहते हो, there is no drive to that. It's more about, it's coming from either a point of view that I want to prove a point कि see मेरे को भी ये life में लाना है. It's not coming from the space of it's going to fulfill me. It's going to value add in my life. So manifestation sometimes falls flat if the intention is not coming from a pure space of it's going to feed me. For example, if I want to live in a bigger house, or if I want my space, and the intention is the reason of my creation is because my best friend is doing this, or if I'm going to compare my life with somebody else, or I'm doing it to prove a point, it's defeating the purpose. The vibration is very low. So when we want some things to come in our reality, we have to be in the highest form of vibration, which is a Brahma consciousness, I call it, where we are creating. And Brahma consciousness comes about when we are able to tune into the Brahma consciousness within, which is full of, like, no matter whatever that you're doing it for yourself. Of course, it will impact and help your surroundings and your environment and your family, but one has to do it for self. And so another thing about intention setting is one has to be clear. What is my intention? So a lot of times people are very vague. कहीं तो ट्रैवल करना है, कहीं तो यूरोप में जाना है, कैसा तो घर चाहिए, शादी करनी है बस, और प्रमोशन बस मिल जाए. I mean, sometimes people want a lot of things in life, but they are not very clear. And I have seen two set of extremes behavior here. या तो there is so much ambiguity and gray कि I just want XYZ. There's no reason to that. Or they are so micromanaging it that they are really into, I want the house to have this particular curtains, the house, my partner has to be 6 feet 2 inches, his bank account should be that much X amount of money, I should go to this part only of the world. So either sometimes people are micromanaging their intentions, or they are vague. So you see, there is an imbalance in both scenarios when we talk of intentions. The balanced form of intention setting is that I should get a sense of what do I want. Like, for example, if I want a house, or somebody is looking for better health, a sense and a feel of what is it that I want. What is it that I want? Number two, how is it going to contribute to my life or my loved ones? And मैं तो बोलूंगी loved ones comes later. Only if you have your own cup is filled, can I pour from that sense of filled cup. So it's more about whatever that you're looking to create in your life. What is it that's making me desire that? Number two, whatever that I want, how is it going to nourish my soul? How is it going to enrich my life? जो भी मैं जो मैं चाहती हूँ, how will it benefit me? How will it uplift my soul? That's an intention. Another thing about intention setting is that it has to be specific, yes, to a degree, that I want to achieve, let's say, this much as a target in my bank statement. However, with a disclaimer, this or more. This, I'm sure all of us have heard that we can ask for, this is the basic that I'm looking at, this or more. Like when we look for certain things, hotel category, 3-star and above, or if you're looking at hygiene, A++ and above. So we are looking at defining the objective of what you want, but not getting into the nitty-gritties of it to an extent that you become like a maniac manifestor, like you want to control everything. So then it becomes like an obsession. Then वो manifestation नहीं रहता है, वो एक obsession हो जाता है. Like we all know, for example, कितनों को ऐसे cleanliness का obsession रहता है, that it's good to have a clean house, it's good to have everything clean, but I've seen people where while they're eating food and they will see something and खाते they want to dust. So that's obsession. So when we are manifesting with that kind of an obsession, that sote jagte, like, oh, I'm only dreaming, thinking that about it. So a lot of times secret and law of attraction may, because they say focus on what you want. Yes, you got to focus on things that you want, but in a balanced degree. You can focus, you can say this is what I want. It's like window shopping. You are roaming on some street, I would like to have that. Like you're like actually shopping with the universe cart, and you're saying this is what and you're circling it. मुझे ये चाहिए. You know, sometimes like when I travel, I sometimes bookmark some stores mentally. I like something that is hanging there or on display. I like that. I'll come back to that. So it's about defining, this is what I would like to have, and it's about also having some leeway, as in हम उसके प्रति इतना obsessed नहीं हो सकते हैं कि उसके बिना like life रुक सी जाए, and then some people feel that if you're not giving it that much of energy and attention, that it cannot get manifested. But these are the myths. So I also want to, once we finish the 3 steps, I want to discuss the myths of manifestations. What are the perceptions or the possible myths that people have? And the last one, why does manifestations fail at times? Because I've been there, done that, done so many mistakes, I would say, that this session is primarily about the mistakes that I did have become my wisdom today. And I'm talking and operating from that wisdom so that it helps people to save their earth time. I mean, time is so precious. So the blunders, the mistakes, or the wisdom rather that I have collected will help people to create, but with ease, and have lots of fun. So that's all about the creation or the intention part of manifestations when we are talking about creating with intention. Number 2, the second key of manifestation is the inspired action. So when we say about inspired action, it's also, you know, what kind of inspiration do I receive to create that what I'm creating? For example, if I want something particular in my life, I am inviting a higher force, universal intelligence, which is greater than my linear logical mind, and I'm trying to invite. For example, I always invite. There's a concept in school. I used to say, I'm inviting a divine intervention team. This is my belief that there is a divine intervention team in the universe, like how jaisa an HOD has their team members. I believe like the source energy has an intervention team that works with God. So I'm inviting that intervention team. This is what I want, God and your divine intervention team. Can I have your focus and attention? God, spotlight. I do that with God. I need some attention here. Can you help? So that's about inviting divine intervention. बहुत सी बार in manifestation हम जो चाहते हैं with our linear mind, when it comes to a relationship or a job or money or a particular place that we want to go in life, we do not know whether that's for our highest good or no. And manifestation is about वो चीज manifest होगी. We all have heard that will manifest what's for my highest good. In terms of maybe me marrying XYZ is good, but me marrying ABC is for my highest good. So there are these probabilities. That's another law, and that's another thing in quantum field, which is like probabilities and possibilities. कि एक ही चीज के कितने सारे outcome हो सकते हैं. So manifestation is about tapping into the highest probabilities or highest set of possibilities that मैं उसमें tune in कर सकती हूँ, and I'm bringing that into my reality. So when I'm taking inspired action, I am literally asking God for inspiration. Because manifestation, a lot of times, like I gave you this example, people are either maniac manifestors, where they want to micromanage everything and they want to look after everything. How will it come into my action? Or there are passive manifestors who will just sit and meditate, and then they are wondering why is it not showing up, is because they are not even asking for divine guidance, and therefore there's no inspired action. So मैं ये clear करना चाहूंगी at this stage, there's a difference between action, mindless action, or inspired action. And inspired action is, let's give an example. Inspired action will feel like an alignment within me, that something, or my inner voice, my intuition, my clairs, my senses will nudge me towards a direction. That's like when I'm practicing stillness in my core, that this is what I want and I'm ready for inspired action, but my headless chicken ki that I'm not like all over the place. I will take, one fruitful action, but in the right direction. Like, we don't hammer 10 places. We'll hammer at that one place, which is, therefore, divine intervention helps in manifestations to really tap into that right corner, which will bring me that result and that creation. Thank you so much, Aditi. Divine guidance is the key. And if I'm inviting divine guidance, only then I can take an inspired action and not just mindless action. The third thing that I wanted to talk about is surrender. So what we spoke about the maniac manifestators, or when we're talking about obsession or desperate, when we want something out of desperation, is because we want to control a particular outcome. कि मुझे इसी से शादी करनी है, I want to go to that place only, I want to earn this much money only. And why are we not open to new possibilities? Because as humans, we are very scared of the unknown. If mere anusar, if things do not fall the way I have envisioned it, and it is the unknown, there's a sense of that I am losing control. Like, it's like chauffeur-driven car or self-driven car. So if I'm not sitting at the wheel of my life, and if I am not driving, whoever will be the chauffeur-driven car, pata nahi kahan leke jayega. It's better I want to be driving. So such people do not delegate. They do not trust. They are always hyper. They are always stressed. They do not believe in themselves enough, and they do not want to invite a higher energy, a more greater than self, to look after and to intervene in their issues and intentions. So surrender is such a I think important piece in manifestation, is because surrender teaches you that the law of surrender is that, yes, I want something in my life, but I am happy even if it doesn't shows up. So I'm happy in its absence, I'm happy in its presence. It's like more of good to have. It's more of, oh, I would just like to have that. Agar mil jaye, theek hai. It's like such a light frequency. Whereas when you're desperate, as when you are desperate about something, we are operating from a sense of lack. There shouldn't be yeah. What she's trying to say, there shouldn't be like more of desperation, and we shouldn't be clinging on to it. So surrender is a space where I'm allowing that divine intervention team, this is what I want. What is your take? It's like having a dialogue. Sometimes I have this dialogue with my mom. That's my practice. I share with her. This is something that I really want to do in life. What is your take? What do you feel? So since she's a creator, she's my biological creator. So I invite suggestions. And why do we do that? Because our parents are wiser, and they offer us guidances and all that. And therefore, for me, God is also like a creator. So he has created me. So when we are asking for surrender, it's actually like submitting your plans and proposals in front of your creator, and like running it through. Sometimes God becomes my lover. It's like sharing my vision. God, this is what I feel. This is what I want to create. What is your say? What's your take? And sometimes I get a sense, because I'm so connected with my intuition, even though I could be very interested to bring that, I sometimes get a sense there's something better. And I have seen when I don't follow that nudges, I am misaligned. So surrender opens me to receiving inputs from universe. That, okay, this is what I want, fine. Can I surrender? Surrender is bringing in miracles and possibilities, because I'm open to, like, I'm opening my field to endless possibilities. So it's more about making things possible. As much as I can surrender is direct. The surrender is proportional to miracles. If people are not willing to surrender, or they are too scared to, and control freaks, and I was a control freak some years ago, I still am, then I practice surrender. Surrender is the antidote to control. And I can say that openly, that I have been there, done that. Even now, when I catch myself looping in that downward spiral of controlling, I practice, I get back to detachment, surrender, and letting go. Not letting go of my wish and desires, but letting go of my grip that my wish has to show up in a particular way. I step back and I allow source energy to guide me. This is like a business proposal. How we take, supposing I always see my plans as, I have a business policy proposal plan, and I'm taking it to the banker for sanctioning the loan. So sometimes if the proposal is good enough, I get the money, I get everything is sanctioned. If the banker feels not a good idea, it's not feasible, it just gets rejected. And if I am able to surrender to that degree, that no matter मैंने कितना भी मेहनत करके वो plan बनाया होगा, but if God says, or I get a feeling, no, there's something better, the sooner I can drop it and say, okay, let me create something else, without getting attached to, but why this was, what's the problem? We humans need a lot of explanations in terms of what, when, why, how. Manifestation happens a lot in the field of unknown. So when I'm saying unknown, it's a space of void. It's a space of quantum field where I don't need to understand manifestations. Like another example, we all know we have a digestive system, reproductive system, and a respiratory system. But even though we have studied science and we exactly know how, sometimes I'm amazed. Like I'm thinking something and right now I'm speaking, what must be happening inside? But the more you sit to micromanage it, you might not enjoy that as much as you're allowing certain things to be autopilot. So manifestation is about allowing yourself to take your life on autopilot without attaching. So the third key of surrender, according in my idea, is the most important. So intention setting is to really define what you want to create, and like a recap, let me put it that way, it's also to make sure you are doing it to fuel yourself. And there's a big misconception here I would like to create. Sometimes clients tell me, I want to manifest for my husband, he should get the project, that tender. I want to manifest for my son that he should clear this exam. So let me break this myth or bubble. And good news to manifestation, that the law of creation is that I cannot create for anyone other than myself. So life, because that's free will. So I would just like to let all our viewers know that we cannot manifest for anyone else or have intentions also for anyone else except self. I don't even have intentions for clients who come to me unless and until they also feel the same. So when we talk of intentions, it's more about conscious intentions, and like I explained about why do you want to create whatever you want to create. There has to be a purpose to it, not just reckless, mindless. एवे मन कर रहा है, सब लोग शादी कर रहे हैं, मेरे को भी शादी करना है, उसकी हो रही है, मेरी क्यों नहीं हो रही है, उसने कार लिया, मेरे को भी कार लेना है. It's not a wrong thing. There's no judgment to that, but there's no solid base for it to even anchor, because there's no solidity there. Second, liking to recap, divine inspiration or inspired action will come when I'm invoking the divine to fill my life with that kind of inspiration that I can take action towards it. And lastly, surrender is that tool that will make me open my life to all those possibilities that I never have even envisioned in my path. So this is just in a nutshell of the three keys. I would pause for a few seconds in case if anybody has a question, and then I want to discuss two more things on the myths of manifestations and why do manifestations fail at times. But before that, I would just like to leave the platform open for just few seconds or maybe a minute in case if, and I want to just see how this has landed for our viewers without rushing into it, and just letting this sink into people. And if there's anything that anyone wishes to ask, I am more than happy to address. That's why I'm pausing here for some time. People might forget to ask something, so I'm waiting for the second section. So we'll just pause. And I'm just trying to see.
So, Sheetal, I have a question.
Please, wow, I love questions. Please, bring it on.
So, yes. So, I have a clear intention and it is for myself. So, the base is clear. But then I have two things. Either I am too attached to it or I self-doubt. Is it possible? There are a lot of things to fall in place. I don't have this, I don't have that. ये कैसे होगा और कैसे नहीं होगा. And then I drop that, whatever intention I had, I drop that and move forward. So this is what happens with me. So what do you think about it?
So here, what I can feel into is, and this is a very typical common problem. Thank you for being brave to share this. I will come. Prajakta, I will talk about surrender in a bit. First, I'll just answer Poonam's query on. She spoke about self-doubt, and I would say your deservability. We carry a lot of the right word is distortions in our field. Distortions are like past baggages, past experiences. In the past, some things may not have happened, due to which it's there in my belief system that I will never get it. Like if somebody has lost some money in an experience, they'll feel this is never meant to come to me. And we sit with a past experience and we start concluding, I'm not lucky in love. Like if somebody has failed in a couple of times in a relationship. So when we are sitting to manifest, like I said, that's Brahma consciousness of really creating, a lot of our shadows will come on surface at that stage. More than, in fact, more likely at that time when you're creating something, then the counter manifestations will show up. It's like today, if I want to buy a car, every belief around my money and self-worth, उसी दिन सब आ जाएगा. Like it will not come yesterday. आज अगर मुझे कार बाय करना है, घर बाय करना है, that same day my mind will throw things to me. Don't you remember, like a critical boss, a critical mother-in-law, or a critical, like a critique. Let's put it that way. Our inner chatter is like a critique. Like we have movie critiques, where the critique will repeat a narrative that we are used to playing. Like अगर somebody wants to get married, अरे शक्ल देखिए अपनी आईने में, like self-doubt. देखो क्या, do you really feel, you will get it? And so self-doubt is about, it talks about the past experiences. So that requires a little bit of, so when these things come up, and if you can just embrace that as, like these are my shadows, these are my things where it's coming up for my presence. This is coming up just so that I can shower my love to it more than, हम जब selfies भी click करते हैं, I say this a lot to all the people I work with. Have you ever seen, we never keep pictures where we are looking fat or where the angle is not right. We don't post any pictures जो अच्छे नहीं है, because we don't want to, it's like we reject that part of self जो perfect नहीं है, because we feel very ashamed of, if I'm not looking good, I don't want to, we want to put our best foot forward into the world at all times. So जब ये counter manifestations या counter beliefs हमारे सामने आ जाते हैं, we kind of get threatened and we begin to feel as if that's an obstacle. So that was, in fact, I was going to cover, thank you for bringing it up, I was going to cover that and why manifestations fail. But since you have brought it up, manifestations will fail if my self-esteem or my self-belief or my deservability is low, even though I want something very desperately, if I want something um, with a lot of obsession or shiddat say if I want something, but if I feel otherwise, like I want something big in my life. I want a huge opportunity, let's say work wise. But if I feel, but do I look good? Will I have the confidence to speak in front of people? Will people receive me? Will I be rejected again? Past में तो जो हुआ था क्या? Will I be able to pull it off well? So when these things come up, if you're really connected with your core, you have to not you have to observe that with observer consciousness and not get attached to as if that's the fact. It's more of a self judgment. So when such things come up, I say, wow, thank you, interesting. You know, हम जब road पे चलते हैं, somebody will pass a comment, and most of the times it's not true, and you know, it's like eve teasing. Somebody will say कोई comment or something. हम एक एक के पास जाके उसको justify नहीं करते. Sometimes we just say we ignore it, or sometimes हम सुनते हैं and वो अनसुना कर देते हैं because of, like, we're acknowledging we heard it, but we don't react to it. So when these things are coming up, they're coming up for it to be healed. And how do we heal it? By giving it our presence. I see you, I feel you. Like when you become self-critical, shakal dekhi aine mein, you really think you will get it? So it's like becoming aware that, okay, today I am getting critical about myself. Inner child healing. So that requires like a lot of self-forgiveness, inner child healing, shadow self-integration. Those are like those topics where one needs to really massively work upon. And one thing in that is deservability. Like whenever people are doing any kind of visualization or when they're trying to ask anything from the universe, it's more about I deserve this. So when we say I deserve this, it's not like Mahila Mukti hi कि मुझे मेरी हमारी मांगे पूरी करो, or like a union leader, अरे मेरे को ये मिलना ही चाहिए वरना. I have seen certain people who talk about it's about time I get married. It's about time that God does this for me. To me, it feels like God के सर पे बंदूक रख के, God, it's about time, चल sanction कर, कितने time से pending है, what are you doing, man? So I feel it's about the energy is that of threatening, and the energy again, but then the intention would be not for, if somebody is really doing it for themselves, they'll not be in a desperation. It is more than likely these kind of situations would be to prove a point to somebody else. It's about time these things come to my life because others have it, I don't have it. So it's again inner child healing and deservability, and is like inner child and shadow work. So does that answer your question?
Yes,
Is
it
that
answers my question, and all those questions that you said that held out. All of this comes to my mind when I'm, intending something or starting to work towards something. So quite helpful. Thank you so much.
now I want to answer Prajakta. Prajakta, I'm going to write a book on. I'm going to write a book on surrender because I have been a control freak of the highest order and I have no qualms to admit that. So surrender, why is surrender difficult? Because there's a fear if I let go something means I am letting go of my desire completely. That is why letting go is misunderstood. Apologies, I have an application. I have a timer for every application. So it just went off. I forgot to switch that off. So surrender is about Actually, dancing in surrender is the easiest because surrender is about law of least efforts. Surrender is about I wanted, but I am not willing to put myself in the hamster wheel of effort and constantly burning myself out. Surrender actually prevents us from the burnout, it prevents us from depletion. And surrender is about I can only do this much, God. Now you guide. Now you lead. Surrender is about being led. Surrender is about chauffeur driven car. I know, I know limited. I am willing for something which is higher and greater than me to lead me. So surrender is actually accepting our the limitations of our humanness. We are humans at the end of the day. So surrender actually keeps us human. It defines us. It's like if some employee is working in, let's say, accounts department and the company is not doing well. Imagine if they are taking a lot of stress about the whole organization. Surrender is coming back to the point, I am an employee in the account section. I am not the vice president or I'm not the founder of this organization. It's not my company. I am doing my bit and I'm delegating. Surrender is actually coming back to your circle of control. Things that where I can where things that I can manage, I will only do that much. Surrender is about drawing the line. This is what I can do. This is what you can do. It's actually, I think, like a barter. God, I could just do this much. Like I sometimes have very friendly conversations with God. My relationship with spirit source, God is very casual. It's very fun filled. It's like very childlike. It's very innocent kind of relationship. I'll tell God, God, I can only do this much. Beyond this, I tell God, ab tumhare hawale watan sathiyo. Now you decide what, when, how you will create it in my reality. And I tell God, God, let's have some magic. I'm ready for some magic. And I get excited about it. Each time I have put myself in the unknown, I tell God, God, abhi kuch magic ho jaye. But वो magic होने के लिए, I have to leave some few things for source energy to do. If I'm going to hold everything in my hand and I'm going to control everything, the source energy will say, well, you lead, you do what you want to. So, my grandmother used to say that in childhood that, like a chariot, like this carriage can be like led by that sarthi who's, तो door एक ही के हाथ में होती है. So my grandmother used to say, you have to tell God, I am giving the reins of my life to you because I trust you. Lead me, take me through it. Another, so Prajakta, to add to this, so the degree of our surrender is proportional to how much we trust. And every time I know I wanted to develop the muscle of trust, I used to do activities like bungee jumping. I used to do activities like paragliding, and I used to do some sports. Or in Bali, there was a swing that there was, and you have to sit on the back and you're facing the mountains. And it's like a swing, but you have to fall back. Then there was another group in a retreat where I had to fall and there's somebody who's going to hold me. So surrender is an art which has to be practiced. And surrender brings up a lot of anxiety, it brings up a lot of restlessness, it brings up a lot of hypertension initially. So that's like you have to go through it. Just today I went out and as I was going by, so somebody just said, about 1 kilometer तक रास्ता खराब है, bumpy road है, but आप चलना, आप आगे तक जाना, आपकी मंजिल बहुत करीब है. And he said, just there with that 1 kilometer of the bumpy ride, आप वापस मत जाना, आप हिम्मत रखना, 1 kilometer cross करो, वहां से left ले लो, रास्ता आसान ही आसान है. And I thought, I correlated that with our lives, just what happened today, that's how surrender is, that initial few moments, like another example that comes to me, turbulence in flight. Those few seconds when there's disturbance in the weather and how we feel like I start chanting and I'm like, God, and then tell God, God, am I ready to meet you? Am I coming up? Then I say, Michami Dukram, am I going up? Am I surrendering? So these are those moments really when we are surrendering where everything will show up. Surrender is the path for the brave. It's not for the faint-hearted. So this 1 kilometer thing that he said, there are times where, if somebody says, Bapre, 1 kilometer bumpy ride, U-turn le lo, wapas aa jao. I saw some cars take a U-turn, nahi karna hai. Forget it, easy way out. But I really followed that path. I wanted to explore a place today, and when I really on the bumpy ride, initial few moments, few days might be up and down, and that's like that 1 kilometer. So I always see examples like it's a temporary upheaval, but it's not to really divert me off my path. It's to really make my resolve that much stronger. That okay, this is showing up. God, I still want it. God, in fact, I ask for more courage, and then I bank a lot on my inner masculine. So we have like a Shiva and Shakti, so I hold myself. So it's another, just a small tool. When you're really very shit scared, hold yourself. You can even touch your wrist, or you can just, one tool that I love the most is when you hug yourself, just say, I am here. That's my favorite mantra. I am here. So when you say this, let's say you're very scared, and just by holding yourself as if somebody gives you a tight hug. So when somebody, जब हमको डर लगता है, what do we do when somebody हमको hold करता है या गले लगाता है? It's a sense of reassurance, and it produces brain chemicals, oxytone, oxytone, which calms our nervous system. So when we are very, very anxious, and when jab bahut dar lagta hai, when you hold yourself and just say, I am here. So it's like you holding yourself, and your masculine is saying, I've got you, you're fine, we are fine. So these are, now of course I do a lot of somatic work because I'm an embodiment coach. These are few exercises where you can literally hold yourself, because worry, fear and anxiety is when we have checked out of the consciousness of the body, and we are allowing to get lost into our thought forms and patterns. But really holding yourself and touching yourself at that time will bring you to the now moment. So I hope, Prajakta, that's helped. Of course, my example was right out of my life that happened today, but this stranger gave me, I think, lessons for life. Ki bas 1 kilometer, if you can adjust with the bumpy road, आगे तो सब रास्ता ठीक ही है. So then we are at a choice point where we can decide whether I want to take that 1 kilometer of a bumpy road. If I'm not ready, I will take a U-turn, and if I'm ready, I will continue walking on that path because I know my destination is close by. So surrender is an acquired practice. I still feel I am still learning, mastering, playing around. There are times it's difficult for even me to surrender, but these little examples that I gave you all is how even I surrender. So it is surrendering to a greater intelligence that's beyond me to lead. Like the example, ab tumhare hawale watan sathiyon, God lead. I'm a little tired. God, now you handle. Like in school, when I was in school, I remember group D questions came maths. I was very horrible in maths. I used to struggle. I used to feel that's meri karmo ki saza, group D questions in geometry. So I used to feel when my teacher comes, this is for her. This is not my cup of tea. We had A, B, C, D. I used to feel group D, she will throw some light. That's not what I would like to do. So I'm delegating. So that's a space of not like accepting defeat. It's a space that you're like, it's co-creation. Surrender is actually co-creation. कि मेरे से नहीं हो रहा है. So even when I go for my sessions or when I go for my coaching, it's surrendering that this is my issue at hand. I'm surrendering to the intelligence of my coach, and we are co-creating a new intention and a reality. That's also surrender. So surrender is a practiced space of co-creation. Thank you, Prajakta. I'm glad that it helped. She knows I always talk in examples of Bollywood. She knows that. Okay, any questions? Anybody would like to ask?
So Aditi have asked.
Yeah.
She says surrendering may not be easy. There
It's
can be
never
a bit of anxiety in the beginning.
अरे bit नहीं, bouts of anxiety होता है. It's never bit. It's always bouts. There is always a bout of anxiety. But like I said, anxiety needs movement. So if you catch yourself in spaces that, okay, I'm unable to surrender at a given point of time, it's like customizing your surrender also to be fun and joy. Like we spoke about manifestation and the laws of creation, which is Brahma consciousness of creation. Surrender also can be tweaked into, and it can be made like fun and joy. So I'm not able to do that. So when I do yoga asanas, which is not about like so when I do yoga and an asana of like what Shashank asana, that is surrender for me. That for me is like I am letting go and I'm inviting a divine intervention greater than me to lead me. So instances where anxiety aati hai, so I believe the more you're getting anxious, the greater is the need of the hour to surrender. So sometimes I buy balloons and I write my thing on a chit. I tie it with that and I release. It's very kiddish. I used to do that even in school. And in school, I remember I used to write geometry, algebra. I used to get shit scared of those exams. I used to tie it with my balloon and I used to release it. And I used to feel a greater sense of relief. I have surrendered. So that time it was geometry. Today it's my life. So yeah. Thank you, Garima. So much love to you, my love, my doll.
So there's another question. How much is coaching important for us to grow?
Coaching is about, I would say, coaching is about letting yourself, giving yourself the luxury of being supported. It's almost like how, to answer this today, why do we have like maid servants or cooks or drivers? They are there as resources to support. So they help us to do those things where we can focus more attention on, and they're supporting. Coaching is hand holding. It's about bringing up spaces, or like this example that you shared about the inner child, the self doubt, the deservability. When I work with my coaches, I go up to them with a Kora Chitta. This is coming up for me. This is my shadow self. This is my core wounds. It's not only about healing that, but it's about giving myself that luxury of having somebody else or a coach to kind of co-create with me. It's about allowing myself to be supported, to be comforted. I think more than a friend, I really rely a lot on my coach. Because a friend can give you a listening ear, which is great, but a coach will empower. And also a lot depends on what kind of a coach and mentorship you are, what kind of coach and mentor you're working with. And the idea is to not become dependent on that coach and mentor, but the idea is to really feel empowered from within. Coaching is about like personal training, like somebody who can help you flex your muscle in the area of dash, whether it is surrender, it is self-love, it is self-acceptance, whatever is your core wound at that time. Like let's say sometimes I struggle with trusting the universe. So I know that's my core wound right now. I will work with my coach. I need assistance. I need co-creation. I need support in trusting. So then we play around with that. So it's like having an intention and allowing myself, giving myself the support that I need to let go of that, which is no longer serving me for my highest good. Wherever I have got my life today, I think I give the maximum amount of due credit is to my, and coaching is devotion. It's self-devotion. Of course, you spend money and the person is earning, but how the magnitude to which you are investing in yourself is the level of self-devotion. If I am devoted to myself, that I want this much support for myself. And again, this ties with very minutely with what you said about deservability. If I feel I am worthy and deserving of support, I will invest an X amount of money in my coaching services towards with my coach, I deserve support. I deserve to be held. Coaching are containers where our coach, with their professional experience, is holding space. So that's about, I can go on and on for coaching, but coaching is basically about self devotion. That's the way I see it. If there's any other questions, or if anybody wants to say
So
something
there's
in
another
behalf,
question.
yes.
While practicing manifestation, we sometimes have days where, when we are in doubt and low vibration, does that affect the work that we have done till then?
Very good question. So, manifestation, yes, is about vibration, it's about frequency. Manifestation is also about sustaining that what you're creating, which is very Vishnu consciousness, very Vishnu. So it's about sustenance. So, to answer your question, if you have done, like, say, a 40-day practice, and on the 20th day you're down and out, yes, it'll affect the outcome because it's not in sync with what you have been creating. And in our human experiences, we cannot have 40 days of like a, a, a great life. Life happens. Life is what happens in the real. So when the minute you realize you are spiraling down, it'll be a good idea for you to check what is coming up for me and what is it that I can do in order to support myself at that stage. Is there any inspired action that I can take at that stage to support myself? So when you are confronted with a lot of triggers, or let's say which is bringing your energy and vibration low, that's when you can invite this or a self inquiry, such as, how do I best support myself? And at that stage, I would like to give you a tip. Don't make it about manifestation. So it's not always about manifestation, it's about, what do I do today to feel good? It's not just because I have this dream, or because I want this goal to get manifested, I have to be okay and fine. It's also about my own personal well being. What can I do today that nourishes me and comforts me? So it's very okay and routine that we will feel low on certain days. But at those days, I don't link it with manifestation. I just tune into, okay, what is my medicine? What can I offer myself today? And I just tune into that part of me that needs healing. Sometimes it's just hot chocolate, sometimes it's a dance, sometimes it's doing healing sessions, sometimes it's just sleeping. Your vibration will pick up if, again, there's no force or a pressure कि भी vibration बढ़ाना है, shit, I'm going slipping low, what do I do? Vibrations don't get uplifted again if there's a pressure. It's more of an awareness, okay, this has come up. In fact, when you are triggered, one has to be extremely sensitive and kind to self. What can I do now to hold? It's like it's a trigger for me is like a small baby infant who's crying for attention. We can't tell the child, it's 2 a.m. in the night, you cannot cry. 2 a.m. कोई रोने का वक्त है. We can't tell the child that. We will in fact pick up the child. या कितनी बार flights में ना, I have heard mothers say, अरे हम flight में हैं, चुप हो जाओ. And there was somebody sitting next to me, and I said, you mind if I tell you this? You cannot tell this to a child to expect कि वो flight में है तो वो रो नहीं सकता. So your triggers, your shadow selves will show up. At such stage, what do you do to comfort the child? Not because they are in the flight and the passengers are getting disturbed. You have to pacify the child because you want to comfort the child. So it's not always about manifestations, and you will never have 30 days where you're always in the high vibration. So it's about practicing, I would say, self-care and self-acceptance and compassion towards yourself. It should build your level of self-compassion so that you can manifest, and sometimes even make that as secondary, like this example. You don't have to quieten, pacify the child because flight mein ho. Genuinely, what would you do as a mother? So our inner child healing is on those lines. So I hope if that helps.
So there's another question.
Yeah.
How do I set a perfect intention that will help me attract exactly what I want? Question from Sonam.
If the intention, an intention has to excite you, an intention has to, so how do you know your intention is right? If it fires the cell in your body, if it makes you feel like, if I'm looking at, let's say I want to buy a house or rent a place, so then I close my eyes and I say 1 BHK. Okay, okay. 2 BHK, interest level is picked up. 3 BHK, bungalow. I want that. So you need to build what do you want, and it should bloody excite you. If that what you're creating is not exciting enough, if it doesn't excite you to be there, and also I would like to say about manifestation, the quantum physics says that if you're not able to feel the sensation of your outcome in the body, you will never have that thing in your reality, because there's no registered sensations in the body. So the best way to check if the intention is right or not, like, when you're buying shoes, when you're buying bags or accessories, how we stand in front of the mirror? Does it look good? How am I feeling? How am I looking? People sometimes just focus on how am I looking. I sometimes, do shoppings with closed eyes. How am I feeling with this bag, with this shoe, with this outfit? Is it exciting me? Is it making my inner child? Is it warming the cookies of my heart? Is it delighting my soul? Wow, I want it. Sometimes जब हमको कोई travel options देता है या कोई pep, if it's a food item, and if somebody is just narrating, would you like to have an exclusive dish? Sometimes just hearing that, whatever you said, I want that, because your body has registered the sensation of this feels yummy to me, even though you have not tasted it, but I want that. So that's about creating it in your space first. It has to excite you. You have to feel alive, that wow, this is something that I would love to have. And if it doesn't excite you, let me tell you, there's no scope it can come in your field, because then it'll become, like we spoke, the intention only is not solid. If it's not exciting you, it's a very superficial intention. I want a car because at 40 I think I should have a car. It's very it's like a statutory requirement than an excitement. So if your intentions do not have your inner child participating in it and getting excited enough, it will not show up. So this ties on with the intention, and your intention has to excite the child in you. So as long as older as we are in our life, is our inner child. Any choices that we are making, we get childlike excitement and joy because our inner child is responsible, and we're actually feeding our soul through our inner child. So it's really about, even if you're buying something, if you touch something, if it's not exciting you, the answer is how alive you feel about something. So yeah, I got so excited answering that question. Imagine. it got me so alive. Wow, I want to talk about excitement. You saw how my energy changed compared
Yes,
to the
correct.
previous question, because that was about surrender was a satsang question for me. I had to answer in a satsang way. Excitement excited me to even explain. So the
Yes,
energy only changed because, oh, that's about excitement. So if I have to explain excitement, I'll not say about excitement. I already feel the emotion of excitement in my body. So I got so
correct.
excited. Thank you for bringing up that question. It was my favorite question throughout. It got me excited.
Yes. Yeah, so I have a question now. A
Yes.
lot of time you spoke about shadow self. I am in a doubt what are these shadow selves?
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. Shadow selves are those parts of our personality that are not accepted. We are rejecting it. We are abandoning it. We are ashamed of it. Shadow self is like, let's say somebody's very kind-hearted person, but this person also gets jealous seeing other people's success. Or somebody could be a very generous soul, but is very short-tempered. Somebody could be very creative, but is very moody. So shadows
Okay.
are those aspects which are not celebrated enough. Like the example is, I'm clicking a picture, a selfie. 3 on 10 is what I like, 7 I'm deleting. So shadow personalities are things where I have concluded are my weaknesses. But actually, when you uncover that and when you heal that, so when we heal our shadow self, we are integrating that part of me that was lost, and we are bringing that into our wholeness. So we are literally
Okay.
integrating the shadow into the light. So then there is
Mm.
no subdivision of weakness and strength. We are integrating. Like there is no then there's no polarity. We are trying to merge my so-called shadow self, bringing them to and we are illuminating the light of our presence and love and acceptance to bridge that. So that becomes a part of who I am, but in an integrated, healed way. So supposing like the example of somebody getting jealous or short-tempered or anger, this is presented as a shadow self, but uske niche it could be layers of self-worth, rejection, abandonment from family and relatives or parents from the very younger age in childhood. When I'm healing and I'm making peace with that, I am getting my pot of gold. And then that part of me, I am setting free. It's like shadow self contains distortions, they contain misinformation. Like somebody has told the person you are unworthy, you're not lovable, you don't deserve that what you're asking or aspiring. Shadow self is deceptions. Like these are distortions. जैसे myths हम बोलते हैं, the myths and misconceptions. So my shadow self is sitting with set of things which is not true. They're all false. Like they are
Okay.
misconceptions. Yeah. So, yeah, that's
Okay.
what.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can go on
Yes.
and on. Shadow self, and these are all like healing concepts. That's about.
Yes. Yes. So,
Hmm.
anybody want to ask any other questions?
Please,
It was a quite really very insightful session, and I loved hearing you. Lot
thank
of
you
new
so much
con,
because I'm so
lot of new
excited to talk
concepts.
about it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Does anybody want to ask? Is there anything that is coming up for anybody? And also manifestations sometimes do not work when we are attaching way more importance than it should be. Manifestation is not like if this doesn't show up in my life, I will die. It's not the do and die of my life. If I want something, it's a good to have. I'm walking on the street, I already have a bag on my shoulder. If I get this, it'll be good to have. Manifestation is not that I do not have something. If I don't get this, my world will end. Manifestation is always about, that will show up in your life. Let's see, even if I don't have the bag, but I want the bag. Manifestation is starting from the premise it's good to have, and I'm okay with it coming, not coming. I'm neutral about it. Aaya to aaya, nahi aaya to no hum, no gum. My life will not, the trajectory of my life will not change. So aaya, nahi aaya, my life doesn't end there. I want this particular project, but it's not that I will put all my eggs in a, they say don't put all your eggs in a basket. Manifestation is not about putting your life force and meditating and making things happen. Manifestation is more of surrendering, and it's more about, I would love to have that. If it shows up, great. This or better, or if there's anything else which God wants to give me better than this, I'm excited to see what else is possible or what else can show up here. So it's not defining that this is my destination. Manifestation is about enjoying the journey, and it's about telling the universe, I feel this is my destination. Again, divine intervention. What do you feel? You're asking intervention from spirit This is what I have defined as my target. Please feel free. Sometimes I share documents with my clients on Dropbox. Sometimes they're read only. Sometimes it's edit. So I would say in that example, I submit my file to God, edit. If you feel there's some correction, please edit it. I tell God I'm more than willing for edits. I never give him read files. I never tell him khali pad or haan kar. I don't do that with spirit. When you're doing that with universe, God, source, spirit, always submit an edit file where he can edit your life, where he can change the course of your life. And for that to come, you need to have a very strong sense of surrender and again trust that if he is editing or canceling my plan and something else is showing up, I might not know what is going to show up, but I trust that if I'm getting redirected, or if let's say I have been manifesting a particular country and if that didn't show up, something else showed up. So God is trying to tell me what you wanted here is actually going to happen here. So in our human limitations, we got to accept that this what I was choosing was not for my highest good. Whatever God is showing up, whatever universe is sending towards me, I drop this, I trust this. So the sooner I can drop, I can flow with whatever God is presenting me with, I can have fun. And there's no stickiness that ye kyun nahi hua, why didn't this show up? So there's no analysis, there's no catharsis, there's no dissection of anything. I'm just going with the flow, literally like whatever is showing up. Of course, I will get affected. I accept the humanness of it, but then I'll come to alignment that I know there's a higher energy that is. I had seen, Amitabh Bachchan in KBC had once said, I think it is a quote from Harivansh Bachchan Rai that आपके मन का हो तो अच्छा, आपके मन का ना हो तो और भी अच्छा. I heard this maybe a decade ago, very much in terms of manifestation. I just remembered if we get what we are desiring, great. If we do not get what we are desiring, it's a redirection. So sometimes people feel that, oh, my manifestation did not work. No, it is still working. It is in fact working in ways that I'm not able to understand it. So it's not that the project has failed and your manifestation has failed. God is answering your application in a way that this, your logical mind, ego mind, cannot understand. So we have to sometimes understand, isko thoda rest karo. Take, sometimes I take like a baraf ka thing and I put it on my head. Like when I can't understand what God is doing, I tell God, you do what you want, but I take like ice on my head and I tell God, I can't understand what's happening, but I will chill. So when things don't go according to your plan, there's a song also, Just Chill. I listen to that song and that's like chilling into, so it's difficult when things don't go your way. And I have also been very control freak, but it is more about allowing. And I think it's an acquired practice. I have also been trained. So many of my plans have not worked. In fact, to share, if 100 plans, I think so far, maybe only 5 out of 100 would have worked the way I wanted. 95 times when I have submitted my application, the bugger up there has edited everything, not just minor edits. I to think pura plan hi change kar diya. Like jana tha Japan, pahunch gaye China has always been my case. So it's more about, but now I laugh at it. Now maybe I take a day to accept the new plan. Earlier I would take a month. Now I take a day. Now my intention is how can I make it an hour? So it's a acquired practice. The more like how we do body flexibility is an acquired practice. So surrender also gets better with practice.
Okay, there are a few questions.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
how to overcome fear of abandonment?
Fear of abandonment is an inner child therapy work and it takes a couple of years. It doesn't goes away in a single day or a session. It is a layer. It's about peeling off layers of, like I said, these are distortions. Distortions meaning they are a set of lies told to us in childhood. That it's a lot about self-worth. Abandonment is a lot about you're not worthy of it, hence you're abandoned. So abandonment is also a wound that needs to be cleared from the subconscious level, and a new neuro pathway has to be formed. So that's inner child healing and shadow work. And that's where the coach comes into the picture, where we cannot, as much as a healer I cannot work on my core wounds myself. So with my own core wounds, that's when healing comes into the picture. And yeah, it requires massive work. Abandonment, rejection, betrayal, these are all our core wounds. So it requires a lot of work, and it requires therapy, healing, and trained professionals for that. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take another two questions and then we can end the session. So, how to let go of attachment to the outcome of a desire?
By telling yourself that either ways, my life is good. So when we base an outcome that, let's say I want a particular job, if and then if you're basing your happiness that my life will upgrade only if I get the job, so you're putting all your eggs in that basket. You're putting your life force in that. Vis-a-vis, if you apply for a job and say, I'm applying for this job, or I want this goal or desire, my life is good either ways. I am happy even now. Or let's say I want to get married to somebody, or somebody wants to, whatever be your goal, if you can come to a space of neutrality that, okay, I would love to have that. Like, even classic example is money. Everybody, all of us want money. But if you can build that contentment that I am happy even now. Whatever our goals are, whether it's financial, sexual, emotional, physical, end of the day, the human needs are acceptance, our community needs, connection needs. We want to feel happy and successful and good about our lives. If you can come to a space of, it will be a good to have in my life, it's like an addition to my life. Then it will just like a butterfly land and rest in your space. But if you want something in your life, as if I don't get that, my life is ruined. Sometimes people say, if I don't get that project, if I don't get that guy, if I don't get this particular opportunity or a tender, or any wish that you're manifesting, I will be finished. If I don't get pregnant, if so, when we are basing an outcome to define the direction of your life, that's when everything goes, it just topples down. But the way to reduce your attachment to that is, so sometimes the visual exercises I do is, like, you know how we have plugs, sockets. I just see the desire as I'm plugged into something. I will just plug out. A lot of times, I have like the charger. I actually unplug it. I remove the USB cord from that from the charger, and I just say I'm unplugging from the outcome. My life is good even now. This what I want in my life will enrich my life. I am happy even now. But if I say only this will bring me happiness, it's a recipe for disaster. Because then I'm basing my condition. If I don't get this, I'm doomed. Doomsday aa jayega. Like I will lose out on anything. So even if you're looking for a partnership, it's good to have. I am happy and complete and unique and cherished and celebrated even now. So that is about inner child healing, actually, where you accept yourself and love yourself so fiercely that either ways I am good. Then that's the thing of landing in a rested frequency, that like a butterfly, it will just come to you. But when you're chasing something, it's desperation. I want it, I want it, I want it. So then it eludes you. So the idea is like how I do this, I unplug or I reduce. In fact, lastly, if you can reduce the importance of your desires, we often place it on a pedestal. This is the thing of my life. This is the country of my life. This is the wish of my life. Ye hua na, I'll get everything. Ganga naha liya. If we can diminish the importance of that and make it as matter of fact. Today I want to have paneer makhan wala, इस लड़के से शादी हो जाएगी तो ग्रेट होगा, ये मूवी अगर ये वीकेंड पे चली जाऊंगी तो भी ग्रेट होगा. There's no charge to that. The guy, the paneer, my fan is same. There is no do or die there. So there I'm placing, I know it's difficult, it's practice. There you're placing everything under one set of, there's no desperation. Like it's good to have. If you can diminish the importance of your wishes, that it's not the thing of your life, it'll come quicker. It will really come quicker. It will show it, you're creating space because you're releasing resistance. That if it doesn't shows up, and then you tell God, when I send my application, God, this is my plan. Either ways, whatever happens, I am in allowance of that. So I'm willing to let go and park my surrender, and I reduce the importance of that. It's not that it's going to, it'll enrich my life. There's no make or break. It's I am good even without it now. So I'm happy in the now. There's no future. So yes.
Yes. There's another question. I think this is the last question we are having. What if others' behavior affect us and our well-being? Can we intend that in a good way that person is out of my life? Is that bad? I don't mean to harm any harm to the person.
So when we are saying, when we are getting controlled by other persons, so we all have a circle of influence where people influences us on a day-to-day life. Like a maid servant could spoil our mood by doing something that we do not like. So as trivial example as that. So we don't have a control on how the others are behaving with me. The only thing I can have control is how aligned and centered I am. That the thing is, why does it affects us? Because we take things personally. If something is, if someone like the maid servant example, if they are coming late, you know what we begin to feel? She's taken me for granted. Am I not important? She's going to that person, but coming to me so late. Am I so unworthy? Am I so unimportant? We begin to take things personalized. Talking about letting go of other people, the vibrationally, if people are like, as and when we work on ourselves and we are ascending, you don't have to sit down and make a list of which person would I like to, you know, discontinue talking or letting this person out of my space. Vibrationally, we will be incompatible with those people. Not to say that they are bad people, the frequencies will not match. And once the frequency doesn't match, the connection will fall apart. And consciously, I always, this is my classic example. Manifestation is like when an expectant pregnant woman will make sure that she will not take the rickshaw or public transport to drive. She will use a safer methods of transportation. Why? Because she has to secure the child or the life force inside. When you're creating a vision of, let's say, marrying or bringing in your dream house, your project or the partnership, consciously it's our responsibility to declutter our environment. So you have to consciously not discuss this with, let's say I want to get married and there's my best friend hates men. So manifestation, the rule of manifestation is that whatever you're creating, you have to be very conscious about with whom you're sharing, and then there's an energy leak that happens because that person will also attack you with their judgments. That's when the downward spiral happens. So vibrationally, people will fall out of alignment if you are in your alignment. Number two, if you're still, your environment has people who are critical or do not believe in your kind of vision or dreams, it's your conscious responsibility to have a boundary and not discuss things with people who don't think alike. So then it's my responsibility to take ownership of my life, of not, then it's about conscious creation. So I need to know where to discuss with whom and how much. So I hope that answers.
Thank you, Sheetal. It was an amazing session. Would you like to conclude this session with
So
few words?
I would like to just conclude that if manifestation feels heavy, duty bound, stressful, or as if you're dragging something, that means you're doing something wrong. That means you are getting burnt out and depleted. If it is not exciting you, if it is not charging you, or not fueling your soul, or burning your, if it's not burning your, that's it's not firing your cells in the brain to do something, get up each day and work towards that, either the goal is not right, or you don't have that enthusiasm to make it happen. Manifestation is like going to a spa. It could be, it's your favorite thing of the day. For some, it could be driving, it could be badminton for some. Whatever that you feel your most, where it magnifies that what you already are. So manifestations are all about your I am presence. So if you're not happy with all those manifestation, there are a lot of manifestation rituals and techniques, but if you're not, if it doesn't excite you, charges you up, don't do that. Drop that. Instead, in fact, if you can focus on your dream and desire with excitement and anticipation, that's the route. So that's like a disclaimer. I can tell you that whether you're on the right path or you are on the false ego mind trap that misguides one person, it has to excite you. If it doesn't excite you, it's not for you. Your soul is not ready for it. Period.
Thank you, Sheetal. It was an amazing session. Lot of insight, lot of, perspectives, uh, for myself also. So next thing today night I'm going to do is to sit and intend and work
Wow.
towards that.
Super.
Yes,
I am more than happy that it contributed to you in this way.
yes,
Super.
it did.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining in. And
Thank you.
if you have any questions, you can DM us, and we will
Please do.
forward this to Sheetal, and
Sweet.
she will happily respond to your queries and questions.
More than
As we
happy.
saw how excited she was to talk about manifestation with us. So yes, thank you, Sheetal. Thank you very much, and thank
Thank
you
you so much.
everyone for joining in. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye everyone.